there, everybody. Welcome to the Penguin Outdoors Podcast. My name is Stephen Billington, and as always, I'll be your host today. I've got a really great episode coming for you today, or at least I feel like it's going to be a great episode because the content is really from my heart and really goes to explain a lot about why I started down the path with Penguin Outdoors and where I see it going in 2024 and how the way that I'm inspired, I think, can inspire all of you. But before we jump into the episode, let's do a little bit of housekeeping stuff, shall we? Let's talk about our sponsors. Today's podcast is brought to you by our two sponsors. First up is SolarBat sunglasses. Guys, if you spend any time outside, especially on the water, you know how important it is to have comfortable, quality sunglasses. SolarBat is owned by a fella named Gary, and Gary knows your eyes real well because he is, well, an optometrist. You know what? When I recorded the last episode, I made a mental note to myself to see if optometrist was the right word because I think there's actually like different kinds of eye doctors, and I totally forgot. But the man knows eyeballs, okay? He knows his own eyeballs, he knows your eyeballs, and he knows what they need. SolarBat sunglasses are not only like incredibly comfortable, they look really good, and the prices are phenomenal. You cannot go wrong with SolarBat sunglasses. So take yourself over to the website solarbat.com, check them out, and let them know you heard about them on the Penguin Outdoors podcast. Our other sponsor is FX Extreme Custom Rods. Y'all, fishing rods are important, okay? And if you take and line up 10 anglers, you'll get probably 7 different answers, okay, about what rod you should pick up. But I'm telling you, you don't need to take my word for it. You just need to put an FX Extreme custom fishing rod in your hand. And hey, if you see me out on the water, wave me down and tell me you want to try an FX rod. I will put one of mine in your hand, and I promise you will not want to give it back. You'll have to, because I'm really attached to them, but you won't want to. And to get your own, you can head over to fxcustomrods.com. Check them out on social media at fxcustomrods. Check out SolarBat on social media at SolarBat. They're both really great companies. They support Penguin Outdoors, and I hope that you will support them. Let's get into the episode. I know I said let's jump into the episode, but there's one more thing that I wanted to mention before we get into that. If you're currently listening to this on a podcasting platform like Apple or Spotify, one of the many podcasting platforms, you should also know that a video version is available on YouTube, on the Penguin Outdoors YouTube channel. And if you're watching on video, vice versa. You can get this in audio version also. It is on all the major podcasting platforms. Please make sure if you're watching on YouTube to hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, leave me a comment if there's something you want to let me know. And if you're listening on a podcasting platform, make sure to give us a rating and click whatever notification option it has so that you'll be alerted about new episodes. So now we really are going to dive into the episode. All right, guys, so I started Penguin Outdoors on YouTube in 2020 during the pandemic. I found myself unemployed and I was doing a lot of outdoor activities with my daughter, which wasn't different for us, but we were having an opportunity to do a lot more of them. And it was just a hard time for everybody. I mean, y'all lived through 2020. You know what that madness was like. And it wasn't any different for me. And I was watching a guy on YouTube a lot, and I still do. His name is Luke, and he has the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel and the Cats and Cart YouTube channel. Both phenomenal. And the big thing with Luke that I took away was not only that he was just a genuine guy, he was documenting adventures with his family. Like he wasn't filming for the sake of being a YouTube star. He was filming so that someday he and his kids and his family and his friends, they could go back and watch these videos and their lives together were just documented in this incredible adventurous detail. And so I wanted to start documenting things with Kira because, you know, she's not going to be little forever. And I was watching another YouTuber, because, you know, I'd watch Luke and I'm like, man, that would be cool to do. And then he would put out a new video the next Saturday. I'd be like, man, that'd be cool to do. And then I was just watching him do it and saying how cool it would be to do it. And then I started watching a guy in Florida named Yak Motley. And his YouTube channel, the dude was out in his kayak all the time fishing. But he did a lot of content around doing content. And he was like, listen, if you want to be a YouTuber, go do it. Stop talking about it. Stop thinking that you need all this fancy equipment. If you've got a cell phone, you've got a camera, get off your butt, go film. Film everything. Upload everything. Just do it. And I'm like, well, boy, howdy, he's right. And so that's how Penguin Outdoors started. And in 2020, 2021, and I'd say like the first half of 2022, the channel really was about just documenting stuff with my daughter. I sprinkled in some like DIY, some kayak fishing, some regular fishing, just kind of all over the place, but just documenting life and the things that I like to do. And then in 2022, partway through the year, I started kayak fishing very aggressively. Kayak fishing, I've been doing it for like 20 years now. Actually, more than that. Yeah, it's been more than that. So over 20 years, I've been kayak fishing. And it's always been a passion of mine, but it kind of got put to the back burner, being a single dad, and I didn't get out as much as I wanted to. And I decided in 2022, I was like, I am going to put the time in the seat. I am going to go do this. I am going to follow my passion, and I'm going to take the audience along with me. And Kira got her own kayak, I think in 2021. So we had already started doing more of it anyway. Yeah, hers was in 2020. No, she got her kayak in 2020. So she had already started kayaking. She had been in a kayak for like 2 years. But I was finding more and more time to myself with a 3-day work week and her being in school. And I just started fishing out of my kayak a lot. And I decided that my channel was was going to be about kayak fishing more than anything. And my buddy Christian, we met through church, and Christian has always been into fishing, but Christian was never a kayak fisherman. And I want to say it was 2021. Yeah, 2021 when Christian got, or end of 2020, somewhere in that 2020 to 21 range, Christian got his first kayak. Because I already had the YouTube channel, and he got a lifetime kayak, and he started fishing out of the kayak. And like many of us, he got bit by the bug. He got bit by the bug bad, and he ended up getting a Perception Outlaw. He's got an XI3 on it. He's got a nice kayak setup. But anyway, he started getting more and more into the kayak fishing, and he started going with me more and more often. And in 2022, in the summer, it might have even been like May, we were out on a lake not too far from my house, and we see a kayak down like the end of a finger, and I said, Christian, that's a Hobie. And y'all wouldn't know it, but to see a Hobie in my neck of the woods is rare, okay? There's not many of them around here. In fact, there's none of them around here. There's like 2 or 3, one state over, in a town that's like 45 minutes away, somewhere in that area, but I've never actually run into them. I just know that there's 2 or 3 guys that have them. And there's some, a bunch of them south of me and stuff down near like Lake of the Ozarks. But in my specific area, the lakes that I fish all the time, you never see Hobies. I was the only one. And I got so excited. I'm like, oh my God, another guy with a Hobie, like, be my friend. So I chased him down, and he ended up being a guy by the name of Steve Lehman. And Steve Lehman is one of the founding members of Camo, the kayak anglers in Missouri. And he was out there for a bass fishing tournament. And I had heard about bass fishing tournaments out of kayaks. That wasn't foreign to me. Christian, on the other hand, had not heard about this glorious thing, bass fishing from kayaks and tournaments. He was just out there fishing for bass. He didn't know that he could compete from his kayak. And boy, did that set a fire in Christian. So I promise this all ties together. I'm not just ranting for the sake of rambling on. So that sets a fire in Christian. And now he's motivated more than ever to kayak fish. And we keep fishing together, and he's in some of my videos. And Christian is just a genuine good dude. Like, Christian's one of those guys that, like, he's younger than me, but, like, I aspire to be more like that guy. The patience, the godliness, that he's just a good dude who just kind of always does things the right way, and everyone likes him, and he's approachable, and I envy some of that. So I strive to be more like Christian. And so while that is all kind of progressing and building, and Christian and I are becoming better and better friends and all that, I had started in 2021 because of Yak Motley, watching two other people on YouTube. One of them is Angler Up with Brant, who's a friend of Jack Motley's, and cameraman Ron, who is a friend of both of them. And he had started out, Brant needed a camera guy, and so Ron was a cameraman by trade and was helping Brant, and ended up breaking off into his own channel. And I won't go too far off into that. Ron, that topic, it weighs pretty heavy on my heart right now. Ron passed away not that long ago, and he was just another great dude. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better human being, and he's gone way too long, or way too soon, rather, and that's sad. But so anyway, the reason I was inspired specifically by these three, Jack Motley, Brant Preacher, and Ron Middleton, is because I watched them build each other up. Jack started first, and then he helped build Brant's channel, and with his own channel, and then Brant built cameraman Ron's channel with his channel, and Bearded Brad, they've built him up, and the Bamba Beach Bum, they brought him up. Like, this group of friends just brought each other up. They made each other better. They brought each other to the world, and each time one of them was successful, they used that success to bring their friends success. And that is hugely inspiring to me. And here is where it all starts to tie together for the change in my channel and my content, and what I think 2024 looks like for me, and hopefully many years after that. So they bring each other up, and I'm fishing with Christian all the time, and I'm like, this dude needs exposure. Like, this guy will be a better content creator, a better fisherman, a better everything than I'll ever be. So I put a camera on him a couple of times. I didn't have a lot of cameras. My cameras weren't the most reliable. At the time, actually, when I really started putting a camera on Christian, I was using a single GoPro for myself and using these body cameras that a company had sent me on other people. And the quality was horrible. But the content that Christian brought, the way that he explained what he was doing, the way, it's just it's hard to explain. But Christian brought very quality content to my channel. So then I started Trash Panda Media, which is the official name given to whatever this business is going to become. That is, I'm a YouTuber and I'm a podcaster, and at some point that's going to transition into a business. It's already growing. I can see it going that way. And I wanted a name of a company that could be like the umbrella for me and my friends, or for our collaboration, or just whatever. So I started Trash Panda Media, and Christian does not yet have a YouTube channel, but that's going to change in 2024 here, because I don't think that myself and Trey, who we'll get into in a second here, are going to let him go another year without starting his channel, because it's just going to be life-changing for him. And y'all best believe that when his channel starts, I will promote the living heck out of it, because I want to build up my friends. So at the end of 2022, Christian had that kayak bass fishing tournament bug. He had it bad. And he never outright said, like, hey, man, I want you to do this for me. But, like, he was nervous to jump into it. It's a whole new world. And, you know, when you have a friend that you fish with and something new fishing comes up, you don't want to jump into it by yourself. And, guys, if you don't already know this about me, I was not a bass fisherman. And I was absolutely adamant that I would never, ever, ever be a bass fisherman. It's not what I targeted. I never fished for them. I didn't get all the hype. The boat guys would zoom by at 1,000 miles an hour, and some of them just act like jerks. And I was just adamant I was not going to be a bass fisherman. But, there's always a but, right, when you go on a rant like that. But I knew that Christian would be more comfortable going into these events if I did them with him. And I'm like, what the heck? We started looking into it, and, like, you know, they have online tournaments where you can just fish whenever you want as long as you're on, you know, MDC managed waters, and you upload the pictures. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't too bad, you know. This isn't too bad. You get a catch board, you know, I've already got a camera. I'm already out fishing, you know. How hard can it be to catch a stupid bass? I catch them by accident all the time anyway. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it with you. And the two of us joined the Kayak Anglers in Missouri, and I got us some catch boards, and we started fishing events. And that's how we met Trey Dawson, the Trey Dawson, the man behind everything at Recovery Outdoors, Backyard Canine. Hey, if you're anywhere near Columbia, Missouri, and you're looking to have your dog trained, you need to reach out to Trey Dawson at Backyard Canine. There's a free plug for him right there, because he's just a good dude, and the man knows what he's doing, okay? He gave me a hot tip just a few days ago about trying to fix Shelby's breath, my German Shepherd, because her breath is bad, y'all. It could kill you, and nothing has ever worked, but we're going to try this hot tip from Trey, and I bet you that gets her done. So anyway, we meet Trey, and it's easy to become friends with Trey. You just kind of gravitate towards him. And I'm not going to really get too much into Trey's story. I'm going to touch on it a little bit because it really just ties into what I'm talking about. If you really want to hear Trey's story, check out the Driftwood Outdoors podcast that just dropped on January 2nd, 2024, because they talked to Trey, and it's just an incredible episode. So check out the Driftwood Outdoors podcast and hear Trey Dawson's story, okay? But just to give you a little bit of background, Trey got really bad into drugs, really bad into crime, you know, from a very early age, and he was in and out of prison, and he was the kind of guy, he was an example of the kind of guy that society would just write off. And my background was in law enforcement for most of my life, so I'm not friends with many felons. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you that Trey is one of my best friends, and someday if I get married, that dude will be in my wedding. He is one of the greatest human beings that I've ever met. And Trey turned his life around, and not just his own life. His whole existence is helping other people do the same thing he did, turn his life around. Trey literally lives to build up other people. Y'all see how this is kind of tying together now, right? So we met Trey this year, and I started seeing, I mean, him and Christian, God, Trey and Christian are better men than I will ever be, but I am a better man for being friends with those guys. I want nothing more than success for the two of them. And if the little bit of a success that I've accomplished can help bring them some, and we can build each other up, well then, by God, that's exactly what we're going to do. In fact, Trey's going to have a YouTube channel coming to you real soon, because Trey's sitting on a GoPro that he got from your buddy Steve here for Christmas. I sent Trey some startup stuff to kind of get him rolling, because he's just got so much going on. I mean, he contributes to recovery for mental health, drugs, legal activity. You know, he trains dogs, he's fishing, and let me tell you, he's good. Guys, he qualified for the Kayak Bassmaster in March. Like he's good. He's real good. Him and Christian, they can outfish me any day. And those two, like, it really speaks to who they are as patient, good human beings, because those two can finesse fish all day long. They got the patience of a saint. Me, I get out there with that chatterbait and I just beat the living hell out of those fish. I beat them over the head. I just smack that thing against the water and I'm like, eat it, eat it, eat it. You know, and if I pick up something finesse, I work it for a little while and I'm like, oh my God, give me the chatterbait back. Just beat them over the head. So they they are much more patient, better men than I am. But let me tell you how that all ties together. So, Penguin Outdoors started as this simple documentary of me and my daughter's life. And now I am a tournament angler, a conservationist. I have sponsors and companies that believe in me. I have made relationships in the kayak fishing community that will stay with me forever. And I am going to use this platform and those successes to not only help build up Trey and Christian, but to help give back, especially in the ways that Trey is currently trying to help others. Because Trey does things for recovery in the outdoors. That's why he has Recovery Outdoors. You know, float trips, fishing trips with people who need that in their lives. They need a relationship with the outdoors. They need a relationship with Jesus. They need help. And guys, I'm here for it. So my mission with Penguin Outdoors from now on is not going to be just to catch fish and show you guys content, because we're going to do a lot of that. But I'm going to use my outdoor experience and my content creating experience to help others in recovery, to help Trey help others in recovery, to help Christian see some of the success and opportunities that Trey and I have. I mean, heck, my two sponsors today that I mentioned, Solar Bat Sunglasses and FX Extreme Custom Rods, my relationship with those two companies started with Trey being like, hey, let me put this in your hands, because he had a relationship with them. And it's all just genuine, good relationships that can benefit not only me, but everybody else. Guys, the title of today's episode is Kayak Anglers Can Change the World. And that is what I really want to drive home, because I tell you what my goals are and what my plans are, because I want to inspire you to do the same kind of things, okay? There is so much attention on kayak angling right now. We are at that boom, okay? As somebody who has been fishing from a kayak for more than 20 years, I can tell you that I remember when there wasn't a yak attack. I remember when there wasn't, all these accessories for your kayak. I remember when they didn't make bow mounts and motors for kayaks. And I remember taking a $120 sit-inside kayak from Farm and Home or Walmart or whatever, and an old stop sign that my dad had acquired from God knows where. And I remember cutting that stop sign and building a bracket to put a tiller handle trolling motor on the back of this kayak and cramming this heavy battery up into the front of the hull and trying to balance it out and drilling holes and putting in PVC and just like fabricating these rod holders. And just because fishing from a kayak, like, it existed, but it wasn't mainstream. Like, I couldn't tell you what year Hobie came out. And I'm sure it was probably prior to 1998 when I was doing most of this or whatever. But I remember when kayak fishing, it wasn't a thing. It was a thing in small groups, but it was not what it is now. And now you have all these companies making these kayaks that are just absolutely insane. You've got the Hobie Pro Angler is just an absolute monster. That's my favorite. That's what I use. You've got the Jackson NAR and the new stuff Jackson's coming out with. You've got the Old Town Autopilots, the Perception Outlaws, the Vibes. Guys, kayaks are a whole different animal these days. And sponsors are realizing that content creators are where it's at. Okay? Content creators, kayak fishing. I know that, like, when you sit back, and not a channel like mine, I'm small fish. I'm like 1,300 something subscribers. I'm a small fish. But look at, like, Kristen Fisher, Alex Rudd, um, like guys like that, and girls. Sorry, Kristen. I didn't mean to say guys like that after I mentioned Kristen Fisher. There are content creators out there fishing from their kayak who are getting phenomenal amounts of attention and sponsors, and because this is a growing industry. Okay, so when you sit, that's the point I was trying to make, and I lost myself for a second. When you sit back and watch their content, you probably think like, oh, I can never be that big, or, they don't need another kayak angler because look at what they have already. And by they, I mean like the sponsors and companies. You could not be more wrong. Okay, this industry is growing every single day. And that means that anybody in this realm creating content is being watched by someone. Okay, and that audience continues to grow, and we can do, as kayak anglers, incredible things for our fellow humans and the world by using that attention and these platforms and this sport to give back and do for others and build up those around us. Kayak bass fishing competitively is not the same as bass fishing tournaments in a boat. Okay, the boat bass fishing world is listen, there's good people, okay, and there's people that do exactly what I'm saying, but as a whole, it's very cutthroat, it's very cliquey, it's just, everybody's so consumed with that competitive part. Kayak fishing, we have our own kind of culture, and we need to be very careful that we don't let that culture go by the wayside as the competitive side gains more popularity. And that comes down to all of us. So let's keep our culture and let's use our platforms to do things that are good for the world and good for each other. And I promise you, if we all adopt a little bit of that mindset, kayak anglers really can change the world. I sure hope that I will. I know that Trey will. He's already doing it. I know that Christian will. He's already doing it. So look out, everybody, because here comes the three musketeers. Stephen Billington, Christian Blaine, and Trey Dawson. 2024 doesn't know what it's up against. Guys, I really appreciate you listening. And again, if you're on YouTube watching this, please hit that subscribe button and drop a comment down below. Like my video. All those things help with the metrics. And I really appreciate the support. If you're listening on podcasting platform, please give us a good rating. Follow us, like us, whatever it looks like on your platform. And hey, don't forget, you can share us on social media. You can tell your friends about us. You can find Penguin Outdoors on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the major podcasting platforms. You can find me. There's no excuse not to, so go do it and hit subscribe. Okay, guys? As always, I appreciate you listening. We'll see you on the next one. Tight lines.